Very often as a young man, a 27-year-old man, a content creator, business owner, husband, all of these things, father to two French bulldogs, I find that it's very easy to get caught up in the trap of I'm not doing enough, of it's not enough. And I found that whenever I've fallen into such places, as I literally was doing just before, that when I jump into a state of action that's like, I'm going to compensate for this, and then once I do this thing, I won't feel like I'm not doing enough, like I'm not enough essentially anymore, and that will fix it all. But often the paradox of that is when you fuel yourself from that place, it will carry you to different outcomes, to different situations, but it actually grows that thing, that source of fuel, that feeling of I'm not enough, I'm not doing enough, and it needs to be better. A lot of the content creators or business owners that I work with that want to start making content or want to make better content, sometimes they'll come across the issue of I'm not good enough at business yet, so I can't make the content, or I'm not good enough at making content yet, so I can't do that yet, or I'm not good enough at business yet, so why would I make content about it? And they start to think, once I get to this point, once I get to X, Y, Z arbitrary points in business or content, then I'll be good enough, then I'll post about it, then I'll start the journey, I'll start sharing what I'm doing. But ironically, they start chasing their own tail, a tail that they can never catch, because as you approach this arbitrary goal line, this post that you set, then you'll be like, oh, actually no, the next goalpost, oh, the next thing. This is the nature of human beings. We tend to shift our focus or shift the goalpost as soon as we get closer to it. So when you make your sense of worth, like I'm enough, I'm doing enough, I am growing enough, being enough as a human being, when you put that on an external outcome, a goal, a situation, a circumstance you want to find yourself in, you're setting yourself up to constantly be chasing that next line and always be in a state in which you aren't fulfilled. You don't feel like you're enough, and it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. It's a matter of you end up attracting what you fear most. I'm afraid. I get this. I get afraid that I'm not going to be enough, that I'm not doing enough for my wife, that I'm not doing enough for God, that I'm not doing enough for my dogs. And when you fuel yourself from that place, it just creates more of it. And so what I like to do instead, or what I offer instead, and honestly, I started this because I was thinking of the fact that I was thinking this way, and I thought, what better way to help my fellow man and myself by documenting it and creating it in the moment that I feel that I'm not enough. I'm not good enough to make this piece of content yet. I'm not good enough to help someone out through this circumstance. This is the best time to be able to do that. So what I tend to do instead, and it's a conscious effort at first, especially if you've lived a lot of your life fueled from that place of I'm not enough, I have to grind, I have to push, I have to outwork my insecurities or my sense of not enoughness, lack of fulfillment. What I focus on instead is reminding myself, I'll consciously, because I like to give tangible things, I like to say that the reward is this process of caring about it and focusing on it is the reward in and of itself. And that automatically brings the goalpost to here, right now. The journey is the reward. It's not that the reward is an external circumstance or achievement outcome that often we will put in our minds as the enoughness, but we instead make the reward the journey of becoming better. And I think that a lot of guys are afraid to do that because, and a lot of people are afraid to do this because we often think, and this is my story at least, so I'm sure at least one other person watching this can relate, is that I'm afraid of who I'd be without that. Because so much of my reality has been created by this sense of motivation of I'm not enough, so I'm going to outwork that sense of worth. So to question that would be to question, or really call into question, who am I going to be without it? Will I still have drive? Will I still have passion? Will I still care? Will I still be the same person my wife married? Will I still be the same guy that adopted my dogs? Will I still be the same leader as a content creator, the same business owner? And the ironic thing is, I guarantee you I've changed. I hope that I've changed, in essence, in a lot of good ways since meeting my wife. So to want to avoid that change and change where your drive comes from, the only constant is change. The only thing that doesn't change is change itself. And I find that quite liberating to bring that to the forefront of my mind. And I'll go through this a lot of the time. So when I tell myself, or catch myself rather, feeling these things, I'm not enough, it's not good enough, I'll ask myself, what's the story here? And that helps to disrupt the pattern. And then I can also remind myself, whatever order works at the time, whatever flows to me, I'll ask myself, I'll remind myself, the reward is the journey, is this journey of being in the pursuit of becoming better. And in doing so, you have already become better. And that's a wild little thing to realize, embody, and be okay with. But more often than not, we think it's something external. Again, we think it's this external thing. Once the circumstance works out to be this way or that way, that's when I'll have it sussed out. I'll have the source. Funnily enough, it's internal. It's a choice to be internally consistent, which is something else that I will choose to say. And I speak a bunch of things over myself. I pray about it. And it's not like the thing itself is what needs to be said. It's really a choice of internally saying that that's where I choose to be driven from. You can acknowledge, and I think this is really important to acknowledge, okay, I feel like I want to be driven from this place. I am feeling inadequate. I'm feeling like I've missed out and I've missed some opportunity. You can acknowledge how you feel. I think that's really important to do, and a lot of people don't acknowledge how they're feeling in the first place, because it's important to validate how you feel, and that doesn't have to be a diagnosis, an end state, a be-all, end-all. That can be an acknowledgement, and then you can choose what is going to drive you moving forward. So that can be what has driven you up until now, but you get to choose what drives you moving forwards. So when I look at this and am faced with these circumstances, these thoughts come up, these stories come up, and a lot of the time they're swirling underneath and they build and build and build until eventually you realize, oh, what's going on here? Like, why am I feeling like this all of a sudden? Then you can catch it when it comes up consciously, and we can do something about it, because then we can go, okay, I see what's going on here. I see what the old stories are trying to play out here, and I can acknowledge that, and I can choose differently. I can choose to say that the journey is the reward itself. The reward is the journey itself. I can choose to say these things, and I don't have to have it all sussed out. I can have this sussed out. I can have that internal consistency, and that is enough. That's okay. I'm finally finding that a lot of this for me right now is being channeled through content creation. Sometimes I'll think, I didn't post this on this day, or I haven't made these kind of posts yet. Right now it's more cinematic posts. I haven't made more cinematic stuff. I'm missing out on things because of that. I'm missing out on certain audience. I'm missing out on opportunities. And I find that when you're in that state of feeling like you're going to miss out, there's the initial drive to react to that. Okay, I'm just going to make more cinematic stuff. But what's far more powerful, because like we said, that will feed more of that feeling of missing out. You're just going to keep building and building on that, to actually take a pause during that, regardless of what you do next, and to say, okay, where's this coming from? What's the story? Do I have ownership and control, choice, conscious choice over what I do moving forwards? Because for me, I've decided to make more of the cinematic content, more of the thought out content. It's something that's been calling at me for a while, but I'm choosing for it to come from a place, hopefully, ideally. Well, that's actually the conscious choice I'm making and constantly reminding myself of. I'm consciously choosing to do this from a place of joy. And not that I'm missing out on something, but that I have a fantastic opportunity in front of me to make a kind of content that I love. And that's enough. That's enough of a reward. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to do it so that I can get this outcome, so that I can attract X clients, so that I can get this brand deal, this outcome, or something like that. And I find that when things are coming from a place internally like that, then I prefer when it comes from that place. It feels much better, and it feels like I'm already fulfilled when I've made that decision. And then whatever I do beyond that is a bonus. It's like when I post content, I'll say the reward is posting the content. That's it. Anything else is a bonus. Views, shares, saves, likes, people coming on as clients from it. That's all a bonus, because my reward was posting the content itself, because it's something that I loved and I stood by, and I still stand by. Just like this video. And I find that it's such a beautiful way of being able to reflect on these things, document it in real time in a tangible way, and share that with others, so that you get to show people what I've heard called the messy middle. Because that's really what people want to see. If you think about what movies are, we want to see our protagonists, our heroes, go through the hero's journey. We want to see them go through the adversity. The bigger the dragon, the greater the hero. The bigger the adversity, the greater the story. But a lot of the time we want to shelter that stuff and say, okay, I'll show these guys the finished product when I'm perfect and I'm done. And again, that builds more of that, because once you've done that first arbitrary stage, you'll be on to the next one, and then you think, okay, no, I'll show people after this, because there's always going to be that next problem to solve, that next thing to dig into, that next level that you could be at. But the ironic thing is, a lot of the time you won't even get there unless you face the thing that you fear in the first place, face the adversity in the first place. And that's what I've been finding, and that's why I wanted to record this in this time that I've just come back from the gym, set things in motion for the rest of the day. And this is an intention that I've set and wanted to do for a little while, but every time I was going to do it before, it was coming from a place of, oh, it's not enough, I haven't done this, I've missed out on doing this week, I've missed out on this piece of content. But I'm choosing for it to come from a place instead of, I enjoy doing this, and I want to do this for the sake of itself, because I enjoy it, because I love it, because I love the game. And that's all for this video, really. I'm going to show you, my dogs are lying down at my feet. It's a pretty hot day, but they're enjoying lying on the carpet out here and lying in the sun. So I'm going to show you without disrupting. But that's Timmy. That's Zeke. Hopefully you can see. Yeah, that's it. And this is me sitting in my crazy fancy setup here. And I find that if I can share this and shed light on this with at least one other person, that's a pretty fantastic thing for me to be able to do, because I know that I've achieved some things in this life by the grace of God. I've done some cool things. I've done things, especially a lot of men want to be able to do by way of providership, and I think it's important to show that your sense of fulfillment and enoughness is not on the other side of achieving these things. It's still going to come up. It's about you taking where you're at now and getting to implement these lessons sooner, so that you can be better from it. And that's the intent. That's why I share this. A lot of this is just off the cuff, just going with whatever is on the top of the dome here. And that is the fun stuff. So hopefully through you getting to see this video, you get to see me implement it and put it in action, and hopefully it struck a chord. You get to choose where your drive comes from. Just because it's been one way up until now, like some people call it push versus pull motivation. If it's been a lot of push motivation before, where you got a sheer force of will and force things and you make it happen, you can do that. It just builds, I find, a lot of this feeling, the not enoughness. I'm inadequate, so I have to push through. Or I'm running away from something, but because you put so much focus on that, you create more of that. Then there's pull motivation, in which you are pulled towards a higher calling. I walk a higher path, son. And I find that pull motivation more and more is where I like to be driven by. It feels fantastic. It's me being able to say, I'm already fulfilled and loved by God. I'm already whole as is and fulfilled. And the fact that I'm walking the path, that I care about it, and that I'm thinking about this in the first place is the reward. When you're driven from that place, you drive so much faster, further, and I find it so much stronger and better. And it's a really unlimited fuel that I find, which, like I said before, a lot of people can be scared to be driven by it. I get scared to be driven by it, so that's why I consciously remind myself, okay, this is what we're doing, and it might feel scary sometimes, but then this is the choice that we've made. Sometimes I want to back out, bail out. Ooh, okay, we've started a little bit, and it seems a little bit shaky, first sign of resistance, time to bail. Nah, this is what we chose, we knew it would be like this, and we're going to keep going, keep growing. So when you can make the choice and then you push through it and you keep consciously choosing it, eventually it becomes second nature, unconscious competence, it becomes who you are. And I find that is very rewarding in and of itself, that journey of doing things from that place, because you're already complete and fulfilled as is, and then you get to go and exacerbate that, so all of your actions create more fulfillment than you thought possible, more impact than you thought possible, more good stuff. This is all the art of being man and the art of content. That's all I have to say on this. Embody that and it'll be all gravy, baby. Appreciate you guys.